Welcome to Back to School Night. I'm Brian Oliver. I am your student's computer science teacher. I want to welcome you to this virtual Back to School Night and wanted to kind of discuss with you a little bit about this class, computer science. This class is designed for someone who has no experience whatsoever in computer science. I like to joke that the only prereq here is you know where the on button is on the computer. Seriously though, what I really want to do is I want to begin the year with an understanding that most students have never coded in any language before, and I begin the lessons in the idea that I'm starting from a foundation of no experience. So the way a class is going to typically be designed here is, and your students are going to hear me say this a lot, I use the phrase productive struggle. This is a little bit different than a lot of classes students have taken before because it's designed in a manner in which I want the students to feel a little bit uncomfortable with the coding in order to develop the skills necessary to be a successful coder. In other words, you need to try writing a program and seeing it, if it compiles and seeing if it runs before you start to ask questions. You're going to learn more from making mistakes in this class than anything else. So I'm going to kind of give a quick summary of what a day would look like in class so that you're aware of how your students approach the class. When students come into the classroom, the first thing we'll do is we'll do a quick check-in to see their social emotional health, just to see how they're doing. Are they stressed? Are their classes overloading them? Anything like that. I need to know those sorts of things coming in. I also keep an eye on their connections just to make sure everything is okay with their internet connection. What I will typically do is I'll do a review of things we talked about in a previous class, any sort of coding information we talked about, and I will give them suggestions on maybe the lab we're working on right now. After that, when I'm introducing a new lab, I will take them into Schoology, and my Schoology is broken into a couple different units. Our first unit is going to take us over a lot. It's going to take us through most of the first quarter and a good chunk of the second quarter. It really is developing some foundational skills in Java coding where you're doing some coding where you actually get to visually see what your program is doing. It's called Carol the Robot. What happens is students will be coding and giving the instructions to have a robot do a bunch of different skills. So what happens is a student will show up at class. There'll be a PDF document that will discuss some general information about the topic at hand. It's more of a like, hey, here's some background of what we're going to talk about. Next is probably one of the more important pieces. It's a PowerPoint presentation. It's a series of slides. And what I tell the students is the majority of the questions they're going to have for me are going to be able to be answered in those PowerPoint slides. I'm not going to read the slides to them. I'm going to highlight key points there. The next thing is an activity, or a classwork activity where they can answer questions basically based on what they read in the PowerPoint slides. The final thing is probably the most critical component, and that is the lab itself. We're going to be doing 17 labs in the first unit, and each one of those labs introduces a topic in computer coding. The lab assignment will have a specification. It'll explain to them exactly how the lab needs to be designed. It'll give them the information about the type of objects they're using. It'll give them information about the types of maps they're using. And it'll also give them some visual cues. There'll be pictures of befores and afters of, hey, here's what it looks like when you start. Here's what it looks like when you end. Then the students will be given a lot of time in class to code. To be honest with you, the biggest part of this class is going to be independent coding. I'm taking advantage of the breakout rooms in in Blackboard Collaborate. I'm taking advantage of the breakout rooms where I'm creating a breakout room where students can collaborate with a classmate. And I'm also creating breakout rooms where students can work quietly. I typically will stay in the main room and be the troubleshooter and the debugger where the students will share their screen with me. What I ask your students to do is to be willing to take the risk to struggle productively. I really do. It's going to help them out in the long run. I've seen the successes in those that embrace the productive struggle. I look forward to working with your students. I look forward to introducing them to the Java programming language, and I'm ready to answer any question you may have. Please reach out to me. You can email me and I'll respond to your email. You can have your student reach out to me and I'll respond to their emails. I really want to make this a happy and healthy learning experience, and I'm ready to kind of attack this virtual world with you and your students. Have a great day.